Hello my friends, welcome back. Today I want to talk about my big three for the Pacific Crest Trail. When we say big three, what we mean is our shelter, our sleep system, and our backpack. Those are probably the biggest factors to weight, your weight ratio. So if you want to get a lower weight in your pack, generally these are the things you look for. Anyway, let's get into it. Okay, first up, just because it's one of my absolute favorite pieces of gear, it's a piece of gear I get intimate with just about every night on trail, and that is my quilt. This is an Enlightened Equipment 20-degree Fahrenheit rating, but it's 800 fill. This is a standard fill quilt. I'm showing you the Enlightened Equipment simply because it's already here. I am ordering a UGQ Bandit 20 with 950 fill that's actually going to be 4 ounces lighter. Whenever you get a bigger fill rating, you're actually lightening the load. So I'm also getting all the bells and whistles. This one was on sale. I got it for $149, so I got it with just the standard stuff. There's no bells and whistles, no overstuff, no foot box, head box, or sorry, like neckline additions. With this new one I'm getting, it's going to be loaded. I mean loaded. It's not going to be a convertible. It won't have the zipper at the bottom. It'll just be a closed foot box with overstuff in the foot box and overstuff up top, also with the 950. So I get all of this and I save weight. For me, it's a no-brainer. Okay, number 2. And in staying with the sleep system, brand new this year, is the, I got the brand new NXT version of the NeoAir X-Lite by Thermarest. And what I really like about this one is I finally broke down and agreed to pay the extra couple of ounces to get the wide version. I have gone on a couple of hikes now in the fall with the wide version in both the Uberlite and the NeoAir X-Lite, and I love wide. I just love wide. This is also the NXT version, which is the next generation version. So this one is actually lighter. So how it works is the heavier one that I had before was a narrow one. It was 20 inches wide. This one's 25. They actually weigh the exact same. But because this one's made lighter, the wide is actually the same weight as the narrow one. So for me, it was a no-brainer. I could have got the narrow one in the NXT version. However, and I would have saved weight. There's no question. I would have saved a couple ounces, probably 2 ounces. But I just, for those 2 ounces, I'm determined to be comfortable sleeping. There's just no way around it. That's a fact. Okay, that's the sleep system out of the way. Okay, next up is an item that is, in my opinion, becoming more and more important as I go along, and that is a liner. Needs to be washed. That is a liner, and the one I'm using, which I may change out, is the Sea to Summit Reactor. It's called the Reactor. This particular one weighs 13 ounces and adds 25 degrees. And what I'm thinking of doing, quite honestly, is going with a lighter one if I need to. So when I go back on the PCT, I won't be starting at the beginning. I have another video about that, but I'm going to actually be just finishing what I missed, and then I'll go back and possibly do what I did last year and call it a complete hike. Either way, it's a complete hike, doesn't matter. Okay, so anyways, back to this. So what I might do though is I could either use this in the Sierras, which would add a little extra weight, and then go back to a silk liner, which is half a pound lighter than this, for the northern sections, or the sections that aren't up in the mountains. Once you get up past 12,000 feet, your temperature is dropping incredibly all day, every day, and especially at night. So this is a very simple thing. The nice part about a liner, as you may know already from my videos, is that they really do protect your quilt. So So having something between your body sweat and that quilt, which is down and absorbs that sweat and then goes flat, the down goes flat. And once the down loses its loft, it loses its ability to keep you warm. Yes, you can wash quilts, but it's difficult. It's very, how do you put it? I don't think the quilts ever really come back to their original glory. Let's just put it that way. So you really do want to keep that quilt away from your body as much as possible. And a liner does that. And the liner also adds warmth. So this is another reason why I'm really happy with the idea of using the lighter quilt and just adding the liner as I need to. I mean, even if I have to get myself a fleece liner, which is another ounce again, but adds another 15 degrees, like adds almost 40 degrees, this becomes a no-brainer. This becomes a really essential piece of kit. And I am going to keep it in the bag. And this one is 13 ounces. Okay, let's move on to shelter. As you know from my videos, my recent videos, I have been testing out a tarp only option. And what I was going to do was use a Dyneema tarp with a bathtub floor. So you can get it's like a ground sheet, but it's actually a bathtub. So it comes up on the sides and has little shock cords to attach if you want those corners. Also, I was wanting to get the Sea to Summit, a bug net that would just come down over top of me and attach to the top of the tarp. So in the summer, I'd be fine. The problem is the minute you get inclement weather, the minute you get, and I'm talking strictly of an A-frame setup, but even with the completely round setups, I forgot the name of it, but I just didn't feel comfortable with it. I just didn't for the lousy 3 or 4 ounces and the fussing and all that stuff I would have to do in setting it up and tearing it down. Tearing it down wouldn't be such a big deal, but setting it up sometimes can be tricky. Setting up a ridge line using trekking poles or trees or whatever you want. I mean, with a tent, it's just so easy. Just, drop it down, stake out the 4 corners, put up the trekking poles, boom, you're done. I can do it in a minute and a half. Sometimes that's more important. So that being said, and I know a lot of you are probably thinking right now, is she going to go with the UL 3F UL Lanshan, which I've been touting. I've really been promoting this tent. However, and it's a great tent. It's a great budget option. But if you can afford Dyneema, I'm not saying I can, but I do have my Altiplex as a choice, and I also have my Duplex as a choice. And I'll tell you why I chose the Altiplex is because of my backpack. My backpack is going to be a frameless backpack. So that was the only reason I decided to do this, because I knew I could just fold my pack and leave it beside me. The biggest reason I went from a single person, which is what an Altiplex is, to a 2-person tent, which is what my Duplex is for the room, is to be able to put my framed pack in the tent with me. And because I froze, my pack froze a couple times solid on the AT, I had to switch over. Also, I like the fact that I could have all my gear inside with me. This gives me that. Now these are only, the difference between the two of these are 2 ounces. So right now I'm leaning towards the Altiplex, no question. The Duplex is a great tent, but this is still, I mean, what is it, 36 inches wide? So it's not like, even with a 25-inch wide pad, I still have 10 inches along the side. And because I do have a frameless pack, I can easily use that as a footrest. I can use that as a pillow. I can do anything I want with that pack because it just folds up any way I want and will, double duty. I love double duty. I do. So anyways, that's it. The Altiplex. Great tent. And that leads me finally to the pack. The pack is how I'm going to finish out this big 3. And the pack right now is a possibility of 2 packs depending on the gear. Okay, so because I have the quilt ordered and it's not here yet, I don't know how well it's going to compress. I'm used to the Enlightened equipment quilts. I know exactly what I'm getting with the Enlightened equipment. I've never had a UGQ quilt before, but I am going to buy the UGQ Bandit because it's cheaper, it's better quality, they don't short you on the fills, and I'm not saying Enlightened equipment does, but there have been reports of it. So anyway, back to the pack. If I can at all, remember I said buy the gear, fit the pack. Okay, so when I get all this gear together, including that quilt, I am going to try out, of course, my number one choice always, I shouldn't say always, but recently, is the Ranger by Evolved Supply Company. This is in its present form, 16 ounce, a 16 ounce pack, so 1 pound. And I love this pack. It's a frameless pack, so most of the weight will be on my shoulders. But if I can keep it under 20 pounds and keep the belt off it, it'll be so much more comfortable, so much more comfortable. And what I've done, and just to round this out, is I've gone the route of ultralight with extra layers. So my idea is this: keep the quilt light. Don't go for the heavier quilt, the 0 degree or the 10 degree. The 10 degree is like 2 pounds, right? I mean, 2 pounds is just overkill. I can't justify 2 pounds, especially when I could drop half a pound or even 3/4 of a pound and add 4 or 5 ounces of, say, an extra top, like my Sky Goat. I'll have Sky Goat and a puffy together, and that would be enough, I think, layering. Oh, and then of course the bottom end too, always, you know, a merino bottom, and my hiking pants and my rain pants. I can use triple layer pants at night if I need to, and I have at least 4 or 5 layers because I'll have a merino base layer, I'll have my Columbia shirt, I'll have my sun hoodie. I'm wearing a sun hoodie. It's not the one I'm going to have, but it's very similar. Also, I'm going to have and on top of that, I'll have the Sky Goat, and on top of that, I'll have the puffy, and on top of that, I can have my rain outer shell if I want to. So I can have 5 layers on top, 3 layers on bottom, and a good quilt. I think combining all of that with, say, some head protection, which I already have in my hoodie on my top, and my hoodie on my puffy, and I believe I have a hoodie on the Sky Goat as well. So I have lots of head protection, but I am going to bring a toque. I think you all call it beanie down in the States, but anyway, it's a toque to me. Anyway, so if that fails, if by chance I go to put all my gear in the Ranger and I'm finding it tight and not having enough room, and when I say enough room, I want around 12 to 14 liters free so that I can put my food and water and so on. So this is going to be the basis of my decision. This is what I want to use. Now, if that doesn't work, if by chance I get all that gear together and it weighs more than, say 4 pounds, okay, because I want to keep my big 3 under 5, so 4 would be better. So failing that, I'm going to go with the Z-Packs Arc Haul, which is a 20 ounce pack, framed pack that can carry 40 pounds. Also, it's a 62 liter pack versus up to 40 in the Ranger. So I would have 20 more liters to deal with if I need to. Now, I think just between you and me, the Ranger is going to work just fine. So if I use the Ranger, and let's add this up together, that's 1 pound. Okay, the quilt is 1 pound. That's 2 pounds. The pad is 12 ounces, 2 pounds, 12 ounces. And the tent is 17 ounces, so 1 pound, 1 ounce. So what does that add up to? That adds up to just over 4 pounds, which is perfect for me. It keeps it under 5. Even if I went with the duplex, I would have no problem. I could even go with the Lanshan, take the extra pound of weight there, but use the smaller pack, which is, again, 4 ounces lighter than the bigger pack. So I could save 4 ounces, which technically, if you took 4 ounces off the tent, now it's almost close to the Dyneema in total weight. You see where I'm going with this? You know, where you take away from one side, you add on the other. It's a balancing act. And the big 3 are the most important part of your pack for a through hike as far as weight goes. You want to keep it, I mean, you're walking thousands of miles, you're climbing mountains, you want to be as light as you can be. Anyways, that's my big 3. That's my video. This might change. If it does, I'll let you know. I am going to go and do a shakedown this weekend with this gear, with exactly this gear, but I'll be using my Enlightened Equipment Quilt, which is not going to be as warm. But I want to test the theory. I want to just test and make sure that with all those layers, without having to resort to wearing a winter coat or adding something extra, I'm going to try and see just how comfortable I can be at nighttime with that gear in the snow at around freezing. It doesn't go much below freezing. Sometimes it gets down into the low 20s at night if you get up into the Sierras. The Sierras are only one part of the trail. Even if I have to put another layer, a top layer in for just the Sierras and then send it home as I go north, I might consider doing that as well. But for now, we're looking at around 4.2 pounds for the big 3, which is, in my opinion, great, really great. Anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. You rock. Let's go get it.